Brian, Rob, Jay King, and Sam Packett present Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle, Boston Texas Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. Oh yeah! Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle, Boston Texas Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. And a 19. Jalen Brown, D. White, Crazy Joe. Steel Bottle, Steel Bottle. When Tatum coming back. Ooh, Steel Bottle. Oh yeah! Come on, I want some wings. Don't get the next generation.
Let's go, your family fan. Celtics. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Your family fan. Celtics. Let's go.
What up? What up? It's me, Jay King from The Athletic, here with Brian Robb from MassLive.com. Together, we are Still Potable, the greatest Celtics podcast ever. We have daily shows Monday through Friday at our Patreon page. Sign up for that at patreon.com/stillpotable if you don't already subscribe. Today is one of our 2 free shows of the week, which means we are presented by the CLNS Media Network and PrizePicks. Some big news today, B-Rob. Actual big news, as the Celtics announced that Jayson Tatum is practicing tonight with the Maine Celtics, the G League affiliate of the Boston Celtics. Ugo Gonzalez and Amari Williams were also assigned to the Maine Celtics for this practice. It's going to be at the Auerbach Center, which means they brought the entire Maine Celtics team to Boston. I think that's a pretty good sign that Jayson Tatum is progressing in his return. We talked yesterday about his progression to 5-on-5 work. They're not bringing him to Maine Celtics. They're not bringing the Maine Celtics to the Auerbach Center, I think, just to join shooting drills or just to like, this is probably a scrimmage would be my guess. I think it's safe to assume
it's a primetime scrimmage, Jay.
Getting in some live action against the Maine Celtics. Big deal here, and he might be grappling with Ugo Gonzalez, who might be sent to the G League just to guard Jayson Tatum, give him a challenge here.
How do you think that was determined, that Ugo got this assignment? They got a bunch of wings. Do you think Tatum requested him? Or he's the rookie. He's like, you got the extra
maniac.
You're a maniac.
Give me the maniac. Give me as big a maniac as you can find.
I mean, but regardless, this is a pretty. I mean, we obviously got the report yesterday from Shams initially that 5-on-5 was happening with coaches. That's wasn't a huge surprise, but now this isn't like the end of the line, Jay, but this is, like you said, this is a pretty big step if you're getting everyone involved here. And not that he's going to be showing up as questionable on the injury report Wednesday night or anything like that, but I think it's pretty safe to say that March looks incredibly realistic at this point, and potentially very early March, depending on how this scrimmaging goes the next couple weeks.
Yeah, his return still is not imminent. Brad Stevens said just Friday that he still has a ways to go. Tatum still has a ways to go. But since Stevens spoke on Friday, Saturday comes or Sunday comes, and we learn that he's playing 5-on-5. Now he's joining practice with the Maine Celtics, and the Celtics announced that he would participate in parts of practice. So they didn't share exactly what parts he would be joining. My guess is that it's safe to assume he'll be doing some scrimmaging. Like, there's no point in bringing the entire Maine Celtics team to Boston for Jayson Tatum if he's just going to be doing stuff that he could be doing with the Celtics coaches, that he could be doing by himself in the practice facility. The only reason to have him go with the Maine Celtics is to have it be a real practice field, to have him go up against real players, and to give him some real competition. So this is a big deal. This is the first announcement the Celtics have had about Jayson Tatum, I believe, since his surgery. Since it was a successful surgery. And so they haven't really shared too many details about his his progress, but he's clearing hurdles now and checking off boxes and getting closer to that return. Wow, that's big news.
On a day the New England region needed it, coming off of.
I sure needed it. Jeez.
But
not that. I just wow. The Patriots. God damn it.
That was tough.
God damn it.
That was tough. We don't need
That was a brutal game. Just a brutal game. There was not a single real second of hope. Maybe when
early fourth quarter. Early fourth quarter. Yeah. After that, they got the ball back before May's really bad interception.
They were in Seattle territory, down 2 scores. B-Rob was fuming that they didn't.
I was hoping too. I wanted to get down to 11. Jay wasn't having it. Got all the math nerds out there, and obviously it mattered a lot that they didn't go for 2 there. Yeah, that was so they'll be back. That'll be some good fuel, but that Seahawks defense is legit.
It's possible I was a little overconfident about the Patriots. Although everything the defense is incredible. The
defense played great.
The defense totally shut down the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker did some damage, obviously, but that was not on the defense at all. Drake May and the offense just could not manufacture anything. The run game had nothing. The pass game until the fourth quarter had nothing. Receivers weren't getting open. The line couldn't block for shit. Will Campbell, just a tough day.
14 pressures.
For the rookie. Yeah, I saw at least one Patriots writer sort of battling back on that. He watched the tape and said it was probably more like 7 or 9. I forget who it was, which is still a lot, but not 14.
Yeah.
But my thing with Will Campbell is he was very good until he got hurt. And then he was really bad after coming back from the injury and just got overpowered, manhandled throughout the playoffs. But he's a tough kid. I believe in his character, believe in his competitiveness. He'll be back from this. That was tough, though. And then Jayson Tatum said, "Don't worry, New England. I got you. And now he's playing against Max Schulga and stuff.
I mean, those main Celtics have been feisty this year. Phil Pressey's got them playing hard. So, I mean, take me into the mindset, Jay, of like these guys. You've tried out for the main Celtics in a past life. You've been on the floor of them. So, like, them coming up for this practice, like, all right, you guys are playing with Tatum. He wants to get a good run in, but he's obviously coming off his Achilles. Like, how do you think they handle like this if you're a player on that standpoint? I imagine it's like, go hard, but don't go.
Oh, no. You go after him.
Wait, it's like, is this Tatum going to just demand that? Being like, this is why I want you guys here. Like, just
you have to go after him. Honestly, for those guys, this is one of the biggest opportunities they'll have all season.
Yeah.
They'll be practicing at the Celtics practice facility. You can bet your ass that all of the Celtics top executives will be there to watch Jayson Tatum practicing for the first time all season. And so you get to be probably, I assume Brad Stevens is there. I assume the rest of the front office is there. And so you get your chance to not just play in front of those guys, but to compete against an all-NBA player in front of those guys. So, yeah, if I'm them, I'm going after him. Absolutely going after him. I'm doing whatever I can against him. And that's the level of competition you got to bring, and that sort of opportunity. But for Tatum, like, obviously you play 5-on-5 work, you do 5-on-5 work with the coaches, and that's one thing. But it's totally different in a setting where, you're competing against real players. And these aren't coaches that are out there specifically to help you. These are players that obviously they're in town just to help you, but they're also going to be going after you, competing against you, and testing you. And so, but that's part of it for Jayson Tatum, right? Like, this is just another hurdle that he has to clear, is being in situations like that and remembering sort of how to handle that. But I wasn't really expecting this early. Obviously, it kind of came up abruptly the way Stevens was talking the other day. You know, it was as if, you know, there was real doubt, or at least some doubt about whether Tatum would return this season, and maybe there still is. But I would imagine that when Brad talked to us the other day and was talking about how, you know, the return will come whenever Tatum's ready, he knew already that Tatum would be practicing today. Like that's not something you just put together the day of. Like, so,
but I wonder now again if this will be one of a few of them. Like if I mean the All-Star break is coming up. I assume Tatum is. The Celtics are scheduled to practice on Tuesday. I can't imagine he'll be participating in that. Coming off of a scrimmage on Monday, but if next step is going to be, and then the Celtics obviously go on a West Coast trip right afterwards, so this might have been just your one chance to work out with Maine, assuming Tatum's going to travel with the team on that trip, or maybe he just stays back so we can get a couple more scrimmages in with the Maine Celtics to some degree. I don't know. Like Maine's got games Wednesday, Thursday, and then they're off for a week 2 for the All-Star break. So I wonder just how that part of the rehab will be handled here from Tatum's standpoint, or if this is just like a one-time thing they sneak in with Maine one, the other opportunity.
Yeah, and during the regular season in the NBA, like you don't really get a lot of chances to have a real practice.
Yeah.
Like the Celtics have played, I don't know how many games over the last month, but I believe this is their first time with like 2 days in between games in like almost a month and a half. I could be wrong on that, but it's been a long time since they've had a couple days in between games. And so because of how much they've done, because of how many games they've had, they're unlikely to have too strenuous of a practice on Tuesday.
Right.
And like it doesn't make sense to have all those guys go through a certain type of practice because Tatum needs it. Like, but the G League, who cares?
They're coming out of the game. Yeah, they got Saturday. They'll be rest. And then, but it is fascinating, though, when they come back from break, the Celtics play the Warriors on Thursday. So I wonder if the team could practice out there on Wednesday, potentially if they wanted to. And then they have 2 days off before they play in LA on Sunday. So Saturday could certainly be a practice day, too. Again, like I said, not a strenuous situation, but Tatum will have a chance to practice potentially on that trip with the team, if they have stuff. Obviously, we'll be doing stuff regardless, but like there'll be a chance for the whole team to practice with him at a couple points on that trip.
Yeah, and it's possible that he'll participate in parts of practice with the Celtics tomorrow.
Yeah,
on Tuesday. Like that's absolutely possible. Who knows exactly how much he'll do, what he'll do. But you know, as a couple days ago, we didn't even know that he was cleared for 5-on-5 work, and now he's going through real practice. So he's got to get his conditioning, got to get his legs. There are a lot of extra steps that he still has to take before returning this season, if he does return this season. But he's getting closer. He's getting closer. You wouldn't do this unless he's starting to get closer. Right now, February 9th, as we record this, there's still little more than 2 months left in the regular season. If he returns, let's say he returns a month from now, that would still give him a month of regular season games to gear up for the playoffs, to get some of the rust off, to get his body back closer to what normal feels like for him. And that timeline, I think, would make a lot of sense for the Celtics. And obviously that is totally 100% up to whether he feels great, whether he continues making progress, whether he crosses every box that he needs in this rehab process. But I don't think unrealistic at this point for if he'll be practicing for a month. I don't think that's too unrealistic at the very least. And if he can do that, then you get a month to incorporate him. You get a month for him to get his legs back. You get a month for him to get timing back. You get a month for him to adjust to the new players on this team, and there are a lot of them. And then you can go from there, go into the playoffs and add an all-NBA guy. That's the dream.
Pretty good. Pretty good setup. I want to ask you about him and fit as far as potential lineups go. But first, let's take a second here to hear from our sponsor, PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. And with basketball matchups, playoffs coming up a couple of months down the line, elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. It's really easy to get involved. They have some new features, including early payouts. So if your player gets off to a hot start, you have the option to cash out in those winnings before the game even finishes. And you can find community on PrizePicks. You can share PrizePicks with your friends, copy lineups for winners with a single click, and copy lineups you like for inspirations for your own picks. So once this TM guy returns potentially down the line here, you can insert him into your lineups easily. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, Jay. So looking back at this development now with how the Celtics have been playing lineup-wise post-Simons trade in the past week, in your mind, are these connected at all in terms of like making the transition for Pritchard back to the bench last week of being like, all right, this is what we're going to go to anyway, whenever Tatum is able to return, assuming he is able to return, which the timeline looks like, again, realistic and within the next month here. Do you feel like that is part of the play here of just like, all right, let's get everyone to the spots they're going to be to set this up nicely so we don't have to like rejigger things more when Tatum's back in the fold?
I think that might have played a part in the thought process. I also think, like, realistically, if Pritchard had started, then you're playing either him or Derek White a long stint for sure at the start of the game, because you need one of those guys out there at all times now that Anthony Simons is gone. And so I think maybe bringing Pritchard off the bench just helps you balance that, and that was a factor in Joe's thinking as well. But yeah, obviously, like, we talked about this early in the season when we were thinking about, potential starting lineup when Tatum returns. And I don't think it's 100% that he would start when he gets back, just because of the minutes restriction and how limited he'll be. But, if he does, then I think it makes sense to bring Pritchard off the bench. And so, yeah, I do think that could be part of it. And then what do you do if you do start Tatum? Is it just Mimi, Tatum, Hauser, White, and Jalen? Probably. Hell of a lineup.
That's be my guess right now. It's pretty damn, especially the way Howard just played for the last month here. Yeah.
And then you've got a bench of Pritchard, Shireman, Ugo, Vooch, Garza, Walsh.
Jordan Walsh waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a deep team.
Pretty deep. Gives you some good options, good optionality for Joe there. At multiple positions, at wing, at center, obviously.
So let's talk about who you think should have their minutes cut into, because obviously, and Brad Stevens kind of brought it up in his press conference with part of the Minot trade was that, when Tatum gets back, a role that was already very minimal for Josh Minot was only going to get the path to playing time was only going to be more difficult. And Brad said whether Tatum comes back this season, next season, like that's just going to be another guy in front of him. But it's also going to be another guy in front of Ugo, Walsh, Shireman. And Shireman has played well lately. Like, who do you think should lose their minutes when Tatum comes back? Who do you think should have the biggest hit to their playing time? Like, how would you rank those guys in order of who should play more when Tatum is back?
Yeah, so I think the guys who are carving out a role from the Souls right now are, I think, Ugo and Shireman. I feel like as a tandem, like one of those guys, I think are still going to play every night, and that they've kind of pushed themselves through the pack now, and I think that'll be matchup based. But I don't expect I think Hauser keeps his minutes steady, and then with those guys, it's like I think Jordan Walsh. I think he's already been kind of the odd man out to begin with. I think he was a DMP. CD was in the
he came in the game after Ron Harper Jr.
right
in their last game.
So that's like he was already behind the 8 ball, and so now I'd be pretty quickly he could become a just deep bench option like he has for the last couple years. But yeah, I don't know. Like with defensively, Jay, I feel like with Ugo, like he becomes a little bit more valuable in terms of what he can do defensively. Not that Baylor Shireman has had a very strong defensive season for himself, but you don't need, I think, his quote unquote playmaking optionality on offense as much if a Tatum like that is in there. Whereas Ugo defensively going after ball handlers, taking some pressure off of guys like that, I put him, I think that might be a better fit on the floor of Tatum, but at the same time, Shireman has surprised us this year, and Joe has gone to him for defense. So I think, again, it's all going to come down to how a certain guy is looking on a certain night. I feel like with both of those guys.
Yeah, the one thing that all the Celtics wings have been doing very well recently, including Shireman and Ugo and Jordan Walsh, is just defensive rebound rate.
Yeah.
Like those guys, and add Jaylen Brown into that mix as well. They've all done a really good job on the glass. So you feel comfortable with any of those guys from a size perspective, from a rebounding perspective. I've been surprised by Shireman's ability to handle so many different defensive assignments this season. I never envisioned when watching tape of Baylor Shireman at Creighton that he would be an option on a go-to guy for the other.
Did he show any of this last year, Jay? Do you feel like? I'm trying to think like when he had.
I don't remember it.
Right.
For sure, don't remember it. But they also had Drew Holiday to guard guys, and they had a ton of size at the rim, and so they defended differently. But yeah, I think he saw that his path to playing time required him becoming a defensive stopper, and he's become that. He's taking on the challenge of often the other team's best player. He's super solid defensively, and they've typically been like really good defensively with him on the court. So that was definitely a development I did not see coming. like Baylor Shireman as a defensive stopper is like that was not on my bingo card.
It might be the most surprising development of the season, to be honest. And there's been a lot of surprising developments this year, I feel like. But Shireman having his moments against like real star players has been pretty wild.
And it started early in the season. Like I can remember one of the first games of the year, they threw him on Donovan Mitchell for just like a few possessions, and he handled that pretty well. I was like, oh, okay. Like Donovan Mitchell is a really tough guy for a wing to guard, but he's been ready for all of that. And obviously you're not going to stop the best players in the NBA every time. Like, it's just not realistic. But Shireman's been physical. He's been able to stay in front of guys. He's been disruptive. The Celtics are 7.8 points per 100 possessions better defensively with him on the court. And it sort of feels like that. Like, he's just been really good defensively. Just out of the blue.
And he's 39% from three on top of it. And that's not high volume for him. And you've kind of seen a lot of these other wings, like Ugo's down to 32% now. He's been in a real shooting rut. Jordan Walsh, I feel like he's at 37%, but I feel like his offense is kind of not. He had some really great moments there in December when he was starting, but that's kind of faded a bit as his opportunities have become limited. And Shireman is, again, he's only taking 3 shots a game, but he's making enough of them. He's getting plain open looks there, and that's obviously going to continue. If you're on the floor with Tatum, Brown, White, like 2 of those guys coming off the bench there, so that can certainly be another just like plus for him in terms of being a guy they want to stick to in that spot as the 9th or 10th guy off, in the rotation.
And he's done some defensive playmaking too. Yeah. He is 5th on the Celtics in steal rate, right behind Jordan Walsh, who is behind Josh Minott, Chris Boucher, and Xavier Tillman. So of the remaining Celtics, Baylor Shireman is 2nd in steal rate. He's blocked shots, not a lot, but the defensive playmaking is there on top of just being solid. So he's done a lot, and I'm with you. I think that his shooting, the threat of his shooting, and obviously he's been super low usage. Like, not a guy who's out there to do a whole lot offensively. Like, he's not going to score a ton of points most of the time, not going to be super involved all of the time. But the threat of his shooting, like, you have to guard him. And I think that's allowed him to jump Jordan Walsh lately and to jump Ugo Gonzalez at times. Like, we've seen, like, even when just Hauser was out the other day, now that they don't have Simons and have Vucevic instead, like, you can run out of shooting on this Celtics team. Not super quickly, because you still have like White and Pritchard, and Jalen can obviously fill it up. But you can run out of shooting options, and Shireman has shown he can knock it down. I think you have to guard him if you're an opponent. Whereas with Jordan Walsh, you feel comfortable abandoning him. I think with Ugo, the way he shot the ball lately, you probably feel comfortable abandoning him. Although you probably shouldn't do it on the final possession of a 3-point game if you're the Brooklyn Nets. But yeah, so if I were going to rank them, I'll do 2 rankings. The rankings I think should happen and the rankings I believe will happen.
Okay.
So to me, I think Ugo deserves to play. I think he does so much that just helps. He's just the energy that he brings every possession is pure chaos, and he just makes good things happen. He brings such an energy that it helps other guys. It ignites the team. It ignites the crowd. I would play him over the other young wings. Because the ability to knock down. Did you lose me for a second?
I lost you a second. You're back, though.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. StreamYard cut out very briefly, but I'm back. So yeah, I would have Baylor Shireman 2nd, just trust him more as a shooter. And like we said, big deal. And Jordan Walsh obviously is a defensive option. You can throw him on. Don't know what's going on with this StreamYard, but
yeah, you're back again now.
But hopefully you got me.
I got you now.
Weird stuff happening on StreamYard. But then I think that Shireman will get more minutes than Ugo, and then it'll be Ugo, and then it'll be Walsh rather, and Harper Jr. rounding out the list of young Celtics wings.
And I guess the fascinating question with the minutes for those guys is like, do you want to give two of those guys minutes over Garza, essentially? Like if they're going to stick with double bigs at all when Tatum comes back, or if they'll just say, you know what, Tatum's going to be playing 20, 24 minutes. We want to keep these young wings involved, and we don't need to go to this double big look. It hasn't been good enough for us. Or maybe it will be. Well, I guess we're going to obviously see plenty of it, I imagine, the next 2 or 3 weeks before Tatum comes back. But that'll be the other fascinating decision to me on that front, is like what direction they go in with that on a consistent basis, and how that kind of impacts what's left over minutes wise for these guys.
Yeah, to me, you play the double bigs now and see what you have in it and determine whether you can play that style, how much you want to play that style, what types of matchups you can use that style against, what types of plays you should be running when that group is on the court. But ultimately, to me, like, is the front court better now? Yes. But to me, the strength is on the wing. And you want, especially once Tatum gets back, more shooting out there. And when Tatum is back, you don't have to sacrifice defense or rebounding to get that. Like, why would you play Garza at 4 when you can just play Jayson Tatum at 4?
Right. And so that should be an easy choice. All right, you're back. We lost you again for a sec, but
we're back.
But regardless, that is going to be a fascinating situation to unfold here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I guess that might be part of why Joe is leaning into that group so heavily now, because this is the time to realistically get a look at it, because you certainly don't want to. Those minutes just aren't going to be available to tinker with in 3 or 4 weeks once Tatum's back, and at that point you obviously have seen enough of what it looks like with a single big this year and what these Lynx have done playing at the 3 and the 4, and it's been pretty damn good return. So that part of it and the way Shireman and Ugo's playing.
How do you think the front court pans out when Tatum gets back? Because obviously they're playing double bigs right now.
Yep.
They're using all 3 big guys a lot. But at some point, does Garza just lose a significant amount of his minutes? Does Garza still play a little bit, and then you limit Nimi's minutes? Like, how is that all going to work out? Because you have 3 options that all of them have been pretty good.
Yeah, I can honestly see Garza just being like an energy guy, where some nights he plays, some nights he doesn't, like just to mix things up. And to be honest, like, I mean, Vooch is obviously the most accomplished guy in the pack here, but I don't like, given how well Garza and Caleb played this year, like, I don't think he's owed 20 plus minutes per game on a team like this, especially when Tatum comes back, because of just defensive limitations and what's worked. So he's gonna, I think that if he fits in well and he's helping the offense enough, then he's gonna get those minutes. But I'd like to see him earn those minutes as we go through here down the line. But ultimately, I expect 24 for Nimi, like 24 for Vooch on most nights, and then maybe Garza steals from both of them on nights where one of them is struggling, or just the team wants to like go after the offensive glass really hard, etc.
Yeah, and I wonder how much offensive rebounding they can convince Vucevic to do. It does seem like he's made a concerted effort on the glass since coming to Boston. That wasn't a big part of his game before. It hasn't always been a big part of his game, but they've emphasized that all season, and that's a big deal to them. So I do wonder how much he can kind of add that to his game. But also, like you said, like if I were Joe, sometimes you need Garza. Sometimes you need him just being a buffalo on the glass and going and grabbing rebounds and getting those extra possessions. Vucevic is definitely like just a more gifted offensive player, a more skilled offensive player than either of the other two guys. But Garza has been really productive, and the Celtics, with the exception of the first couple weeks of the season, have been really good with him on the court. So got to see what it looks like with Vooch, but I think Joe needs to be open-minded to sometimes sticking with Garza there and not getting those from other sources. Like I don't think he should lose all his minutes. Like he's been pretty good.
Yeah, certainly since he's come back in the rotation, it's been a revelation since early December, whatever that happened here. So yeah, that's again good problems to have ultimately for Joe to have options to choose from, and he's done a pretty damn good job all year long in terms of picking and choosing who to go with on certain nights, which has been a departure from the set rotation he's had for him for the last 2 seasons. So it lines up quite well. The front office has put together a nice little team for him here, and Joe will be able to pick and choose how he wants to go forward.
Which big do you think will work best with Tatum? Because obviously, like last year, the Cornet Tatum duo was like really good, and the Celtics liked going to those guys together because of how they accentuated each other. And I think I don't know. Like, obviously, he can play with any big. I'm not doubting Jayson Tatum's ability to play with any type of big. He's played with pop guys. He's played with roll guys. He's played with post up bigs. He's played with everybody. But which big do you think will be best suited for him to, and who can he elevate the most?
I think it's a great question. Nimi, I think for just the rim running is my gut there. Garza has been surprisingly really good at that too. But as far as like the two-way play, and Vooch, the pick and pop, like he's gonna have the most gravity, obviously, for the pick and pop. I don't know if Tatum like prefers that more versus a roller. It'll be fascinating to see what his preference is at that front. Like I said, he can do both, but I tend to think just the guy that has the best chance at finishing around the rim, and Nimi has come so far in that front this year that I think Tatum's ability in that level can elevate him even more. Like you said, it's gonna be tough to recreate the connection he had of Cornet because those guys were in a different stratosphere for parts of the last 2 years. But I think Nimi would certainly benefit a lot from that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just his ability to finish. Nimi can play in the short roll a little bit too, sort of like Luke did. And then he's just a threat that defenses have to account for at the rim. And obviously Vucevic is a threat just in sort of a different way. Like I don't think he's catching too many lobs, but Nimi, like you have to know where he is around the rim or else they'll throw it over the top and it'll be an easy bucket for him. So I'm with you. I think Kata is going to be a good fit there, but they'll all be good fits. And I think like Vucevic, teams will treat him like a threat because he's shot the ball well for a long time. His passing will open things up. And we've seen, it's only been 2 games now, but especially in that first game, the third quarter, like we've seen just how viable Vucevic with shooters around him will be. And in that game, the Celtics, I forget what the lineup was, but it was all shooters around Vooch. And he was just getting post-ups at the rim. They were switching. He was manhandling smaller guys, getting great position, clearing himself for layups. And the Celtics are going to put a lot of teams in a bind because you have to worry about the Vooch post-ups especially if you have a smaller guy on him. And the Celtics just have so much shooting around him that his passing and ability to score down low in the right matchup should be pretty effective, I think. So all good things coming for the Celtics. Huge practice for the Maine Celtics today. Is this the biggest practice in Maine Celtics history? It has to
certainly
be, right?
Got to be. Unless did Gordon Hayward practice with them at some point? Coming back, probably not. No,
Jayson Tatum.
I know. It was just I'm just
Hayward.
for what are other Celtics greats? I think Porzingis practiced with them last year, but obviously Tatum is the best Celtic of the century. So this is clearly the best.
What's the fear that Ugo injures Tatum?
I mean, this is fair. Ugo is a maniac, but like I don't think he's. If it was like Neesmith going up against Tatum a few years ago, then you'd be worried. I don't think Ugo's reached that level yet of reckless, but it's there. It's like 3-4%. I'd put it at in my head.
Celtics better hope it's lower than that. As soon as we hear details of the Jayson Tatum practice, we'll have another podcast for you. Celtics have practice on Tuesday. I'm sure we'll hear from other players involved in that practice. I'm sure Joe Mazzulla will be very open about.
Could we hear from Jason? Would Jason want to talk about Maine Celtics practice, Jay?
That would be cool. That would be cool if he does. But we'll be back as usual Monday through Friday every day. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/stillpotable. Otherwise, we got the 2 free shows per week here on the CLNS Media Network. We love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Still potable, still potable.